Market in the green, but off highs at the start of the trading week. Healthcare, financials and metal stocks lead. IndusInd Bank rises 3% after RBI assures depositors of the bank's financial health. Asian markets rise as China announces a plan to boost consumption and reports strong industrial production, retail sales and fixed asset investments data. U.S. futures, however, trade lower after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent dismisses worries about the market fall, saying the corrections are healthy. SpiceJet up 2% as promoter Ajay Singh converts warrant to shares, boosting his shareholding in the company from 29.1% to 33.4%. KC International gains on order wins. Ola falls over 6% as its vehicle registration agency initiates insolvency proceedings against Ola over unpaid dues. End of 3 and 1 month shared lock-in period sends stocks of IKS, MobiKwik and SBI Life down to 2 to 10%. International Gemological Institute falls as a 3-month lock-in period for IPO investors is set to end tomorrow. Maruti announces a 4% price hike across models starting April, citing rising costs. The company's third price hike this year and comes even as passenger vehicles registration for the first 2 weeks of March fall 22%. Hello, good afternoon. You've tuned into Business Lunch, coming live from CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal Studios. I'm Vinny Motiwala, and thank you so much, as always, for tuning in to CNBC-TV18. A quick look at what the market is doing today, right? We've opened up in the green, managing to hold on to green, but off the day's highest point. As of now, 22,450 levels is what we're seeing in terms of the Nifty coming in, up 0.2% as of now. Let's see if this is going to be sustaining in the green for the second half of the trading session. That's going to be important to watch out for. As of now, the mid and small cap, the broader end of the market, that's seeing an outperformance coming in. Nifty mid cap is up almost 0.4%, while small cap is up almost 0.5% in today's trading session. So some bit of an outperformance from the broader markets. Nifty Bank, that's the interesting one as well. Nifty Bank is up almost 0.6% in trade today as of now. Also, I want to check out on some of these contributors today of what is supporting the Nifty 50. So we have the banking side, and that is why the banks are also, Nifty Bank overall is holding on, because we have ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, we have Bajaj Finance from the financial side, which is managing to hold on to and support the market in today's trading session. On the downside, and what is dragging the market is Reliance, ITC, TCS as well as L&T is what we're seeing in terms of a drag coming in. Index-wise, when you're looking at it in terms of a mover, let's see Nifty Pharma. That's managing to hold on to some bit of a gain in today's trading session. So that will be interesting to watch out for. But let's get started with some of these individual stocks that are buzzing in trade today and in focus. And this is IndusInd Bank that we're talking about today. It's coming in among the top Nifty 50 gainers after the RBI has eased concerns on the bank, about the bank, with a statement stating that the bank is well capitalized and financially stable. Sudarshan is joining in with us to give us more details on this one. Sudarshan, good afternoon, and finally at least some bit of a green coming in for IndusInd Bank after last week.
Good afternoon, Vinay. That's true, because last week IndusInd Bank was under pressure because after company had announced that due to certain accounting mismatch, its net worth would be impacted by around 2.35% or say 2.4%. And because of there were several reports, and now on March 15th, RBI has come out with a statement, and that's the emphatic statement saying that bank's financials remain healthy, and second, it continues to be well capitalized. It has mentioned few ratios. First is capital adequacy ratio. It says that bank's capital adequacy ratio was at 16.46% and provisioning coverage ratio was at 70.2% as of Q3 FY25, and both these ratios were healthy. Also, one ratio that RBI has mentioned was liquidity coverage. It said that as of Q3 FY25, LCR was at 113%, much above the regulatory norm requirement, that is 100%. So all the major ratios too remain healthy, and there is no concern on this front as well. And it is said that bank has engaged external audit team to comprehensively review current system, and it has asked bank's board and management to have remedial action completed this quarter, that is by Q4 FY25. And that's the reason you are seeing that IndusInd Bank today is one of the top Nifty gainers, up around 2% now also.
Okay, Sudarshan, thank you so much for that. But let's move on. And Ola Electric, that has slumped in trade after its vehicle registration company, that's Rosberta Digital Services, has asked and takes the company to the NCLT. Now, Parikshat is joining in with us to give us more details on this. Parikshat, good afternoon. And what is this latest update that you're picking up on this front? Ola Electric, as of now, is trading with cuts of 7%.
Rosberta Digital Services Private Limited has filed a case against Ola Electric for defaulting on payments worth 22 crore rupees. Now, what exactly has happened? Rosberta is a vehicle registration agency and also a provider of high security number plates. This company had been contracted by Ola Electric for registering its scooters sold and also providing number plates to customers. This is because Ola Electric has a direct sales model and does not have dealership. If we recall, on the 19th of February, the company had sent a notification to the stock exchange saying that it is renegotiating the contract with Rosberta and another vehicle registration agency, because of which the numbers, the registration numbers for the company on the Vahan portal, on the vehicle registration portal of the government, may be impacted, and this will be normalized in the coming few weeks. Rosberta is saying that Ola Electric has actually not paid money for the vehicle registrations carried out in the past and for providing high security number plates, and they've defaulted on the contract as well. This is the reason why Rosberta has taken Ola Electric to NCLT, the bench in Bengaluru. This is under Section 9 of the IBC. Let's see what happens. But Ola, in the month of March to date, has sold around 7,500 vehicles. They claim that they sold 25,000 vehicles in the month of February, but we are yet to see the numbers being normalized in the month of March as well.
Okay, and as we slip into the break, let's listen into Ashwini Agarwal, founder and partner at Demeter Advisors, who spoke about new listings, stock valuations, exports, as well as more.
On a bottom-up basis, now I find a lot of companies that look very interesting on valuation. So I think bulk of the damage is done. From a medium-term perspective, I think one should be constructive and do some bottom-up idea picking here. In the small and mid-cap space, there are plenty of domestic consumption-oriented stocks which are trading at extremely attractive valuations with very solid balance sheets and free cash flow profiles. One has to just look deeper. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to share names. The one space that I think we should all pay a lot of attention to are the financials. I mean, financials are really very, very attractively valued.
Welcome back to Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. Now let's move on. US President Donald Trump has said that he has no intention of creating exemptions on steel and aluminum tariffs. Speaking to reporters, he added that reciprocal tariffs will be imposed on April 2nd.
I have no intention of it, though. April 2nd is a liberating day for our country. We're going to be getting back some of the wealth that very, very foolish presidents gave away because they had no clue what they were doing. And April 2nd, I would have made it April 1st, but you know what April 1st is, April Fool's Day. I figured, I don't like doing it, but I made it April 2nd. But it's a liberation day for our country because we're going to be getting back a lot of the wealth that we so foolishly gave up to other countries, including friend and foe. If they're charging us, we're charging them. It's no longer they charge us or we don't charge them.
An exclusive conversation with CNBC, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that he is not worried about the recent market correction, and he also talks about the 200% tariff imposition on EU. Listen in.
I'm not concerned about be a little bit of volatility over 3 weeks, because if you look over the long term, the reason stocks are a safe and great investment is because you're looking over the long term. If you start looking at micro horizons, stocks become very risky. So we are focused over the medium long term, and I can't tell you that the market is going to go up today, tomorrow, next week, but I can tell you that if we put proper policies in place, it's going to lay the groundwork for both real income gains and job gains and continued asset gains. I was with the Business Roundtable yesterday. I think it was 135 CEOs, and I talked to them about our plan, which includes tariffs, deregulation, and what I call reprivatizing the government, and bringing down this incredible level of government spending. And one or two items with one trading block, I'm not sure why that's a big deal for the market. Look, that's the nature of these reciprocal tariffs, that all President Trump is asking is for countries to take theirs off. So we have identified some strategic industries, steel, aluminum, likely autos, but everything else is up for grabs, and that's going to be a decision that's made by our trading partners.
Also, earlier today, we spoke to Ed Yardeni, president at Yardeni Research, to get his views on Trump tariff policies and its effect on the U.S. economy. Listen in.
The other problem is I'd like to see the market do better on a day when Trump is talking about tariffs. I've come to the conclusion that any day without Trump talking about tariffs is a good day for the markets. Well, I think a lot of us on Wall Street are disappointed with Scott Bessent. We thought he was one of us. We thought he was a market guy and that he understood that markets mattered. But now he's kind of dismissing us. He's not one of us anymore. And they're kind of like messing around with nitroglycerin. This is very, very dangerous to, basically tell people that the administration doesn't care very much if we have a recession, because the short-term pain is going to be for long-term gain. I hope he just doesn't remain bullheaded about his tariffs. He has bragged many times and called himself tariff man. And I think all of us on Wall Street, including myself, had the illusion, maybe delusion, that all Trump was really going to do was bluster. He was going to huff and was puff. And then once he threatened the tariffs, that there'd be negotiations to bring the tariffs down. Tariffs are bad news. And right now, it's interesting to see that foreign stock markets are outperforming the U.S. stock market, suggesting that at the end of the day, tariffs might be actually worse for the United States than for the rest of the world. This time around, the Fed has indicated quite explicitly there are no hurry to lower interest rates. They think the economy is still resilient. Meanwhile, they have all the uncertainty, as the rest of us do, with regards to tariffs and whether tariffs might boost inflation. And the last thing they want to do is lower interest rates.
Moving on, Rockefeller International's chairman Richard Sharma also agreed that with the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on how government spending should be a major concern for markets. Listen in.
This is President Trump's favorite policy tool, and he can't help himself but use that. But the only hope here is that if they do settle on just using reciprocal tariffs, because a lot of governments around the world will be quite happy, or not happy, or at least be forced to reduce their tariff rates, and then you have the law of comparative advantage, which plays itself out. But the bigger point here for me, Carl, is this, that the American economy over the last couple of years was artificially juiced up by very heavy government spending, by running deficits that no country in the world has been running. And that was unsustainable. And the idea that America could go on that way and nothing needed to be changed, I think that was just not correct. So in a way, the correction we're seeing in the markets and even in some of the spending patterns, I think was inevitable given this bubble we had in American exceptionalism and in government.
And in other geopolitical developments, US President Trump has confirmed that he would be speaking to the Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow. This comes as the US pushes for a ceasefire in Ukraine. Let's listen in to his comments.
We're doing pretty well, I think, with Russia. We'll see if we have something to announce maybe by Tuesday. I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday, and a lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance. We'll be talking about land. We'll be talking about power plants. That's up, it's a big question. But I think we have a lot of it already discussed very much by both sides.
You'll ask him.
Ukraine and Russia.
You'll ask him.
We're already talking about that, dividing up certain assets. Yeah, and they've been working on that.
Okay, on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. And as we slip into the break, here is some good news coming in for our viewers. India's business news leader is now a click away. Introducing CNBC-TV18's all-new app. Get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles, and financial world updates at your fingertips. Download the CNBC-TV18 app now from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, or you can just scan the QR code on the screen there. Welcome back. You're tuned into Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. Now, let's move on to the recently appointed U.S. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, arrived in Mumbai yesterday as a part of her multinational trip to the Indo-Pacific. Earlier today, she met with the Defense Minister, Rajnath Singh, in New Delhi. This marks the first high-level trip to India by a senior official of the Donald Trump administration. She's set to address the Raisi-Zina dialogue on the 18th of March. Key macro data that tracks the Chinese economy trickled in earlier today. The retail sales rose by 4%, up 3.7% previously, driven by holiday spending during the Lunar New Year. Industrial production grew by 5.9%, although slightly down from the previous print. Lastly, the fixed asset investment jumped 4.1%, surpassing their expectations. To further boost domestic consumption, China unveiled the Special Action Plan aimed to increase demand and rising income. Other than that, the plan includes a childcare subsidy scheme. Officials have intensified efforts to implement consumer-targeted stimulus measures as China combats a deflationary pressure and the threat of U.S. tariffs. And moving on, the chief Asia economist at HSBC, Frederick Newman, also gave his take on the consumption rebound in China, even as the U.S. economy slows. Let's listen into what he had to say.
Tad better, not exactly surging demand, but remember, we've been talking for months now. We wanted to see the consumer finally wake up, and there's a sense here that he's at least starting to, stop yawning and maybe look a little bit more confident into the future, because just as the trade war really gets going, exports have slowed in China first couple of months of the year. So we need consumption to wake up. And today we got the first signs of really a marginal uptick. And of course, over the weekend, further messages by the government that they want to focus really on consumer spending. And this, by the way, comes in the context of the U.S. consumer looking a bit tired. So we really need China's consumption to pick up in the coming months for a healthy global economy, not just for China's sake.
And moving on, a SpaceX crew capsule arrived at the International Space Station yesterday with the crew that will replace NASA's 2 stranded astronauts. This will allow Bush Wilmore and Sunita Williams to return home after being stranded in the orbit for over 9 months due to the delays and technical issues. They were welcomed by the station's 7-member crew, who have remained there after problems with Boeing Starliner capsules forced NASA to bring it back to Earth without them last year. NASA has announced that Butch and Sunita will reach Earth on Tuesday. Okay, and with that, we're absolutely out of time on this edition of Business Lunch on CNBC TV18, leaving the Nifty with gains of almost 0.3%. Thank you so much for tuning in. Up next, your Midcap Reader.